Hello there, guys and girls, and welcome back to another episode of our Let's Play series in City Skyline. Let's kick off with some fantastic news. So we finally named our city. So we've gone with Valhaven, or Valhaven, however you want to say it. But yeah, I chose Valhaven because I think we're going for a very European theme here. I was thinking something like Nordic, Scandinavian would be quite cool for this town, for this city. Sorry. So yeah, Valhaven, welcome. Um, Cool. So let's dive in. So last time out, we built our farm. So this is just a very small village farm. For now, this will potentially be expanded further in future episodes, but I think we're going to be quite happy with what we've got here for now. So that was kind of the main focus last time out, and we obviously built out our eastern town over here, and also some of our northern town over up in this corner. So what's the plan for today? So as we mentioned last time out, we want to focus on our industries at the moment. So we're going to focus on building out our forestry industry over in this quadrant here. So the plan is to have this kind of sitting in this area up against what will eventually be our through highway, coming through this part of the city and out over here. So yeah, our forestry is going to sit quite nicely up against that, kind of using this whole area over in this quadrant. Yeah, so off screen, just a few things to tell you about. I expanded this little guideline of what will eventually be that through highway, just so that we don't forget. I say we, meaning me. But yeah, I want to make sure that we don't lose the fact that we're going to have a highway coming through here. And it also gives us quite a nice guideline to work with our forestry, and where we want to see assets kind of sitting up against this highway further down the line. I also just extended a few of these roads over here just to make this a bit more complete, but we will be expanding this in today's episode as well. So I think that's a good place to start off. So what I want to do to begin with is purchase our first new area. So I'm going to go with this little square up here. And the reason I want to do that is quite a small one, but I want to have access to this whole town over here. So the north sort of district can now be built out entirely and allow us to service this forestry industry adequately. So what I'm envisaging for this town, I think I said it in the last episode, is a nice little cemetery once we unlock it, sitting on top of this mound, this hill over here, overlooking the town, and then we can have our homes, our residents coming up to sort of this area, yeah, and just kind of build this whole area out. So I think that's going to look quite nice. So yeah, let's kick on with that, because I think, yeah, we're very, very close to our next milestone. So we need another, if it fluctuates, but 50 residents moving in before we hit that. So we're going to get there pretty quickly. So yeah, I think we just start dumping in some residential zones, and everyone's going to be quite happy. I'm going to leave this for now. I don't want to build that out just yet. And while that is coming in, we can start thinking about where our cemetery will sit. So I want to come into our landscaping tools, and I want to create a nice level piece of terrain up here for our cemetery to sit on, because you'll see it's quite bumpy. So I want to pick probably the highest peak. So if I come into our level terrain tool, I want to right click on this point here. I'm going for full strength and a medium brush size, and I just want to draw out a nice area in which our cemetery can sit once we unlock it. So I think that's going to do us quite nicely. And then what I'm going to do is come into our rural roads again, come off of all the road guidelines, draw in a nice straight line. So I believe, let's come out by 11. It's going to look quite nice. Yep. And then what I want to do is bring this out slightly more, and then come back into our terrain tools. Now this time I want to slope the terrain. So I want to select up here, right click, and then from perhaps here, just bring a nice slope in so that we can connect our cemetery in once we are there. So now I'm going to bring in another straight road, bring our road guidelines back into play, curve that one into there like so, and then curve him into there. So you kind of get the vibes already, but once we unlock it, our cemetery is going to sit atop this hill, overlooking our entire town, and our forestry and beyond. So yeah, that's going to look really nice. So I just wanted to kind of get that prepared. And then what that allows us to do up here is expand our residential zone out. So yeah, I think we want to curve, just do, yeah, 10 by 10. It's going to look quite nice. And then, oh, there we go. As we were doing that, we've unlocked Boomtown. So we've reached our next milestone, people. So we get access to another area to purchase, which is really good. It's going to come in handy. We've got some transport options, which is really good. So we're getting our buses, our trams. We do get ferries, other stuff as well, like taxis, which they don't have a lot of use, but we will use them. So that's going to be really helpful for the next episode. So next time out, we're going to really focus on transport, because we're going to need it at that point. We get our ore industry specialization. We get some new policies, which we'll get into in a later episode. A load of new roads. What else? Underwater heating pipes don't really help us. So we get our cemetery, so we're going to use that immediately. Get some more healthcare stuff. As I say, the transport options, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's just quickly finish this little bit of road that we were doing. So I just want to come out straight here, and I'm going to come to here, and I think everyone's going to be quite happy. We can get a few more little homes situated in there. So let's quickly get our cemetery put in, because now that we've unlocked it, the Sims will be looking to use that very quickly. So you'll see immediately this is the vibe that I was looking for, exactly the vibe. So the church is kind of looking out over town, and this is like a focal point of the area, right? So this is like a, if you're in town as well, you're looking up at the hill. You've got the church kind of sitting atop the hill. I think that's really nice. I think that's I'd like to live in a little village like this. Particularly being from the UK myself, there's a lot of places like this, and it's just lovely as well. Overlooking the water. Eventually, we're going to do some really cool stuff over here. So yeah, it's quite a nice little area. So he is immediately going to need water and electricity. So I'm wondering if we can use some of our demand to actually hook him up without needing pylons, because I'm sick of placing pylons. Yeah, so we should be able to hook him up that way. By the way, if you haven't seen my video, I posted it yesterday, I think, around 5 things that I'd like to see in City Skylines 2. So I'll post it down below, but pylons was one thing that I would like to see expanded on, sorry, get my words out. I think these have a point in the game. They do look nice. I mean, along here they don't look too bad, right? But in certain areas, I think other options would be good. So having some under the ground electricity cables would be really cool, really useful. So yeah, give that a watch. Like the video, drop some comments, etc. Excellent. So we've got our expansion to our residential coming through. One other thing that I do want to do before we move on is I need to have a look at our garbage produce. So we're currently quite low in terms of our processing. So I just want to bring in another recycling center over here. Again, from the Green Cities DLC. Really nice asset. I'm just going to put them side by side at the moment. This will change. I'll probably integrate this into our forestry area later on, but for now I'm just going to dump it in this effective dumping ground for bog standard industry, but this whole area is going to change in coming episodes, so yeah, watch this space on that one. But that should just satisfy the needs of our people for now. So get a little bit more water up here. This isn't quite connecting through as I'd hoped, so let's do a tiny bit more. It should work eventually. I'm not too concerned at that at the moment. Cool. So let's move on to the main event, shall we? So we want to start bringing in our forestry industry. So the first thing that we need to do is grab our paint industry area tool, and I want to use this whole section here for our forestry industry. So I'm going to use this main road as a guide and then effectively come up to this sort of natural tree barrier as our sort of end of industry zone. So you get the vibe already. This is where the industry ends, and this will be like a little town centre, maybe some football pitches, cricket pitches, etc., sitting in this area here. I think we just discussed it previously, but this will be like the central ground to for the rivalry towns to come and meet in the middle and maybe play games against each other and so on and so forth. But yeah, we'll get to building that in the next episode. So I can see up here we've got some electricity issues. So if I quickly come into our electricity tab, we're over consuming our electricity. So we're currently consuming 45 megawatts, but we are only producing 43. So before we do anything, because we're going to have an issue if we don't fix this, I just want to bring in another coal power plant into our horrible industry zone. But what you'll see immediately, the need disappears, and we're now overproducing, of course, but we're going to build a lot today. But we're now producing 87 megawatts of electricity. So now we are in a good space to proceed. So yeah, this is going to be our forestry industry. So the aim for today, guys, is to get to level 3. Similar to what we did with the farms, we don't want to go too far with it too early. This is a small town, of course, so we don't want to go like huge industrial within a tiny town. So we're just going to develop up to, or at least unlock level 3, and then we're going to move on from there. So yeah, let's get started. So I kind of want to use this bit of the main road and come central to these 2 node points here, and then bring a straight road all the way out. So I'm going to come off my road guideline and come out by, let's just give ourselves loads of space. I'm going to come out by 50. So this will give us a nice straight road to kind of work as like a main connector road for the industry area. So yeah, that's going to work nicely. And then what I want to do, and the first thing that we need to do always, is drop our main building for the industry area. And the vibe I want to go with for this area is to have the main building sitting just off of the main 4-lane road that will eventually run through here. So in order to do that, I'm going to create this road, and I'm just going to bring this all the way along because I am actually going to use it for some other assets as well. But if we come into our industry tab, select our forest industry, grab our main building, and then I want this to sit a couple of zone spaces away from the road, the connector road, and then that will allow us to unlock level 1 for our industry area. So we get the sawmill, we get the small tree plantation plant, and the log yard. So you've got your the extractor building where we're going to take the products, then we're going to move the products into the sawmill to produce goods, and everything will be stored within the small log yard. So similar to what we've done previously, it just allows us to do that. So first thing we need to do is connect him up to our road here, so our connector, and that's just going to be a nice vibe. Once we create a 4-lane road coming through here, you kind of get the vibe that you drive through. You've got your town on the right, and then you'll get this nice forestry vibe over here on the left. So yeah, once we do some detailing, that's going to look really cool. Excellent. So first thing that I want to do over here, now that we've got that laid, is start to bring in some production. So what I'm thinking is I want to use this mass of trees over here to drop our plantations. So I don't want to get too close to this bit, but I'm going to bring this road all the way out. So I'm going to come out by 40 here, and then what I'm going to do is lay our plantation buildings along this piece of road, or at least our initial ones. So what I want to do is grab our small tree plantations. So we'll see we get 20 workplaces from this, and they will produce 4,800 units per week, depending on the tree level that you've got in the area, of course. So I want to leave a few, let's leave 2 zone areas from the road, and then drop our first one in, and then I'm going to leave one zone area gap, and then drop another, and then the same again, one area gap and drop another. So again, similar to what we have with the fields over in the farm, if we select the plantations, we get a few options. So we get either conifers, beech, or alder. I think it's alder. We'll say alder um, variation. So I don't particularly like that. I think that looks very vanilla. Beech also looks very 8 years ago city skylines. Conifer does, but I think that's probably the least exaggerated one at this phase. So I think we're going to go with conifers for all of our plantations. So we've got 3 in place here. So that's going to get us started, but what I envisage is further down the line having another 3 sort of backing onto this. And then the reason that I've left a gap is I want a little path network running through all of the plantations that we're going to have here, and then another one coming through the middle. And it's not really going to get used, but it just gives you that kind of vibe that workers could walk between the plantations and then the rest of the forestry area should they wish to. Cool. So we've got our starting plantations down. We're now going to need to store the goods that we produce. So what I want to do is bring in a log yard. So again, if we look at this, it's quite a nice little asset. It doesn't actually produce any worker capacity. I always find this a bit weird. Again, something that could probably be improved in CS2. But I don't understand why a storage building wouldn't have worker capacity. Same for the farm, same for ore, oil, everything. They don't have worker capacity, but you would have workers working in these areas. So anyway, small gripe. But yeah, I want to get this connected into the road. So I'm just going to bring a little road down here. And then similar to what we did with our main building, I want to use this as a bit of a feature from the road. So I'm just going to remove those trees and then put our log yard in here, but I'm immediately going to switch it off. If you remember from our farms with our silos, this will get filled up very, very quickly by external sources if we leave it on. So what I want to do is make sure that we produce some products here that will eventually then fill this up at least to a level to stop us having to import masses. So that's going to help our budget, but it's also going to help the traffic that is currently coming into these small towns. So I'm just going to leave that off for a second. It's not going to actually harm us too much. And the next thing I want to do is bring in a sawmill. So we know we're going to go back to back with these, and we're also going to leave a gap in the middle. So if I come out by 10 here, that gives me enough one tile space in between at the back of these plantations here. So I'm actually going to come out one more to give me that road length, but then you'll see that gives me the gap. So if I now come out by 10 here and then down, oh, my apologies, if my maths is correct, which it probably isn't going to be, but let's try, and I place another one of these 2 tile spaces from the road, yeah. So we've now got a nice gap in the middle here that we can use to eventually have these little pathways running through. So that's going to look good. It's going to be like a little production area. And then in this little corner here, what I want to do is build in a sawmill. So the sawmill is going to take the forestry products that are produced from the plantations, and it's going to turn that into planed timber, which is then going to obviously be sold and used for other products within the city. So to start with, I just want to place one of these on the corner. So I think it's going to look quite nice. So nice and close to the plantations to make sure that he's got enough access to the goods that he's looking for. Yeah, so I think that's going to look really good. So let's have a quick look at what that does to our requirements. So we need 150 workers to reach level 2, and we've got capacity for 166, but we also need 500 units to be produced. So we're close to kind of hitting this once we get the workers coming in, but we're nowhere near this at the moment. So we're just going to leave that for a little while, let that build in, and then eventually everyone is going to be happy. So we need some electricity over here. So I'm just going to quickly connect you up, and everyone should be nice and pleased. And you'll see that our industrial requirement at the moment is very low. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to delete a few of these little disgusting vanilla assets from our main industry area. And then, similar to what we did with the farms, almost force the people that were working over here to come over to our forestry area and put their time and effort into producing products over here. Cool. So I'm just going to now turn this on, and what we will likely see is a barrage of trucks and lorries coming in to drop products off. But I'm hoping that we've produced enough at this stage to stop that from happening in droves. But let's see. Um, we're actually still producing a decent amount of money, so I'm hoping that's not going to be an issue. Excellent. So while we wait for that to level up, what I want to do is just build in some more sporadic residences. So we're going to keep this for something. I've got something in mind very, very quickly, very soon, sorry, and that we're going to put in this little quadrant. But yeah, we'll put some residences around that area, and then I want to do the same over here. So you'll notice we did have a road sticking out here. I've got rid of that because what I want to do is effectively encircle this area with residential zoning, and then I'm going to place a little bit down here as well. But I think this is going to look really nice once it grows in. So we've got that buffer from what would eventually be a noisy highway, potentially. But these guys shouldn't be too impacted, particularly once we use some sort of like forest brush to get some trees in here which block that sound. So yeah, I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that. But that should ease some of this demand, which it has done already, and ultimately push workers into this area. So yeah, so what I'm going to do, guys, I'm going to pop away for 2 seconds, grab a quick cup of tea, and we will be right back once we hit that level 2 marker. Okay guys, welcome back. So as if by magic, we have finally reached that level 2 goal. So what I did add a couple more plantations in, just the tree plantations, just to kind of speed up the process. But yeah, we made it. So we're at level 2. So we've now unlocked the biomass pellet plant, which is again going to take the products that are produced from the plantations and turn them into, I think, paper. The furniture factory, which is a really cool asset, but we're probably not going to use that until we get to like a midtown industrial vibe. We get the sawdust storage, which acts very similarly to the log yard, and just stores the products. The forestry workers barracks, where our workers can go and stay. And our small tree sapling fields, which I do have some really nice ideas for how we want to use that asset right now. So yeah, let's dive back in and get some assets placed. So yeah, I want to use the sapling fields immediately. So what I'm thinking is, again, using this sort of frontage road over here, I want to leave a few tile gap from the main building, and then just lay 3 of these back to back along this main road. So similarly to the plantations over here, these sapling fields have 2 options. So we either have the greenhouse or the sort of standard look. The standard look obviously just has the tree saplings by themselves, whereas the greenhouse has more of a shaded, sort of sheltered vibe. You would imagine these would get closed up when it's raining, etc., etc. I much prefer these, the greenhouse look. So what we're going to do is go with 3 greenhoused tree sapling fields. And again, similarly to what we've got with our main building, once this is a 4-lane road, it's going to look really nice with people driving along, and you kind of see these trucks coming in and out, and the sapling fields just kind of sitting there. Again, maybe you're sitting in, let's imagine this is a little coffee shop or something, but you're sitting in here having a cup of coffee, and you can overlook the masses of traffic driving up and down, tree traffic. But yeah, you've also got this nice view of the greenhouses. So yeah, I think that's quite a nice vibe. And they give you 20 workers, similarly to what we get with the plantation. So we've now got an extra 60 worker capacity, which is bringing us up to 281. So fantastic. We need 350 to get to enough to reach our ultimate goal of level 3. So yeah, we're well on the way. So thinking about capacity, let's have a look at what other assets we have unlocked. So the biomass pellet plant is a really cool one. So as I said, this will take in the products that are pulled from the sapling fields and the plantations, and it will take those products and produce paper products. So yeah, this is quite a nice asset as well to put within your forestry area. The only issue with this one is it does create some pollution and noise pollution. So you want to keep this well away from residential zones, which I would imagine you would anyway, but just to call it out. But the good news with this one is it gives you 70 workplaces, so we get a lot of workplaces for a single asset here. So what I want to do is give this a bit more sort of focus, and I kind of want to use this area over here where our highway will eventually go. So again, I want to create a little frontage road. So I'm going to come onto my road guideline and my straight road tool, and I want to use this road here as my guideline. So I'm thinking the pellet plant is going to sit here just off of what will eventually be the highway. So if I grab the biomass pellet plant, and then that looks about central to me, and we plop him in there. Yeah, I think that's going to look really cool. So you're going to have to use your imagination for now, but this will be a 2-lane one-way highway, or just a normal 2-lane one-way road, depending on what we do. But you'll have this nice view as you drive past of the sort of industrial vibes for our forestry area. So it is obviously very industrial looking. So another sort of benefit of putting it over here is we're keeping it segregated from these very sort of old school looking buildings. So like the old school sawmill, for instance, sitting in this corner. Yeah, they're sort of very different in nature. So we want to keep them as segregated as possible. So yeah, I think that's going to look quite nice. So let's get him hooked in. So if we come back onto our dirt roads, I want to bring you out very slightly. I then want to, yeah, I think we'll just curve into you from here. So let's grab our road guideline and have a nice curve coming in. So again, I think that's quite a nice look here. So the roads kind of go off against each other, rather than being sort of parallel all the way across. It's just, it doesn't really happen in real life. So yeah, I think utilizing that look really helps. Cool. So we've got some issues here with not enough buyers, but again, having the biomass pellet plant will help that, because it's another option for these guys to use the products that they're pulling, and putting it into actual production. So yeah, so that just about gets us over the worker requirements, but we just want to go one further on this. So I want to bring in another sawmill. So I'm quite liking this vibe over here. So again, the sawmill gives us 46 worker places. So I'm going to put another one in over here while we've got enough budget. And again, it's quite a nice little vibe. So right next to the production area, not the extraction area, sorry. So yeah, it's a nice little look over in this part of the industry area. Cool. So I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that. And yeah, that now gives us capacity for 397 workers. So we need to get to that point, and the production unit requirement. So yeah, I think we're going to leave that there for now, and we will come back to that very shortly. So you'll notice we've got a very high demand for residential zoning. So what we're going to do is move into our west part of the island, and in order to do that, I'm going to purchase this piece of land, or this area tile. And as we said previously, what we're envisaging for this this island is we've got 3 towns who kind of like rival against each other, but then they have this central meeting place of this sort of town centre transport hub football pitches, cricket pitches, all that stuff that's going to sit in here, where they can come and meet and battle it out on the cricket pitch or on the football pitch, etc., etc. So yeah, I think this is kind of the lure that we're going for the island. So what I want to do is now draw out this effectively a ring road. So this ring road is going to come all the way through, connect back into our funny roundabout that we've got at the entrance to our city, and then that will allow us to eventually then come out here and build our new town, thinking in sort of this area, and then eventually we will have a harbour sat in here, maybe in a few episodes time, and then I'm thinking I want to use this little what are you going to call that, a meteor hit zone, as like a little park, maybe a little bridge coming over here for another extension to the park, and some like jet ski areas, so on and so forth. So yeah, we've got some really cool detailing opportunities over in this area. How deep does this go? Oh, it's quite deep, isn't it? That's as far as I can scroll, people, but that does go quite deep. A bit concerning, really. So yeah, we're probably going to want to fence that off as well. Yeah, it's going to look quite good. So yeah, we've unlocked this area, so let's quickly draw out our road. So the first thing that I want to do is check the terrain levels in this area, because I can see already, yep, I assume, like, I don't know, maybe thousands of years ago the stream actually came all the way up to this point, but over the years with tides reducing, the water has now moved out to this point, so we've now got this little dip in the road, so in the land. So I want to bring our road through here, round this bit, and then back into here. I might just use that as like a natural barrier for the road. No, I do actually want to come up through. Yeah, so anyway, we're going to use that. So I think we'll start here. So I'm going to grab my freeform tool, and then I just want like a nice big sweeping curve coming around that little area that we just established. And then I want that to connect into there. Nope, I'm going to bring this back ever so slightly. Yep, so now I want to bring this up a bit so we can go straight for a little while. Very nice. Keep our road guidelines on, connect into that guideline. Yeah, I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that. And then from here, come back into our freeform road tool. I do want to come in there. Yeah, so here's what we're going to do. So I'm going to bring this into here, but then at this point I want a little roundabout. So let's come into our curve road tool, come into our 2-lane roads, and I want to use the 2-lane one-way road with wide sidewalks. I want to come out by 4, and then do 4 by 4, 4 by 4, 4 by 4, and then finally 4 by 4 again. And now I just want to very quickly anchor this roundabout with our rural roads. So if you don't know this, I'm sure you do, but if you don't anchor this, by the time you then build off of these nodes, it will mess up the look of the roundabout. So it's always best to just quickly anchor it until you've actually used the nodes that you want to. And then off of here, we want to come back into this roundabout up here. So I want to sweep that through, and then bring a straight road off of here, and then using our curve road tool, I just want to grab the guideline, yep, and then connect. And then I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that, right? So we've now got this ring road that is going to connect the whole island together. Yeah, I think that's going to look really cool. Once we get some transport coming in as well, we'll get some trams sort of, probably not using this road, but sitting off it and going over the top of it, etc. It's going to look really nice. But what this allows us to do now is come out to this western part of the island. So what I'm going to quickly do is just clear out some of these trees just to give us a bit of area to work with for our town, and then we will dive into the build. So I will be back in 2 seconds. Okay, there we go, guys. So yeah, I've just cleared out some of these trees. I've left some up on this hilltop over here and some over here because we do want this to be a park eventually, but this might change because we are going to use this as like a extended harbour at some point. So But yeah, this gives us an opportunity to build into this part of town. So we've got some weird terrain over here. I did flatten this out ever so slightly, but not too much. But what this has meant is we've now got this sort of dip as we come through. So I want to grab our slope terrain tool, right click up on our roundabout, and then what I want to do is have this slope down into what will be our town. Cool. So now if we grab that, and I just want to basically have a straight road coming all the way through. So eventually this straight road will come off, maybe sort of here, and then come into what will eventually be a harbour. But yeah, for now we're going to use this area here as our next town. So to begin things over here, I want to, as always, respect the topography, and use the terrain as my guide. So yeah, I want to bring this round like so, use all of this terrain. Yeah, very nice. And then we can even extend up into this bit, and then I probably want to start coming back down. Yeah, so we can do that later on, but for now let's just continue out over this side. Yep, so I think everyone's going to be happy. And then what we want to do is just find a point here where we're going to be happy to come up. So this will be sort of our main connector into town. And then we should be able to connect you into there. So I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that. Yeah, very nice. So yeah, let's now bring out some initial frames. And over here, I'm not going to go grid, but I'm not adverse to going slightly more grid than we have done previously. So I actually want to come up a little bit more than that. No, I don't. I want to leave one tile space between, and pretty much come to there. And then, as has usually been the case with this town, I just want some cul-de-sacs. I don't want to go there though. Yeah, that's going to be good. And then same on this side. So I think we go straight road, and then cul-de-sacs. I think everyone's going to be quite happy with that vibe. Yeah, so that's going to get us started, at least. And it is a bit more gridded over here. We will be building out into this area as well. But yeah, I think for now this is just going to get us started over in this area. So yeah, I think that's going to be good. So let's start putting in some resident, shall we? Because we've got a really big demand, so we need to get these people in, get everyone situated. Cool. So what you don't want to do is zone too big an area too quickly, because what you'll end up with further down the line is mass deaths all at the same time. So you want to do it very slowly, do little bits here and there. That way everyone is going to be very happy. But what we are going to need is some water. So as always, we are working with economical water pipes, so we're not going under the roads. So what I want to do, just to make sure we're staying in our pattern over here, is create a few pointless ones for now, just so we don't lose where we need to be placing these pipes. So that's good. That's going to satisfy our demand, and then we can delete these ones because we're not using them at the moment, but as and when we are, we will bring them in. Cool. So let's just check how our forestry area is doing. Yeah, we're doing fine. We are producing 100% of our own products. We've got a decent workforce coming in now. Obviously, as we build out our residential demand, that will help. But we're almost at our unit production level as well. So that's really good. Excellent. So obviously these guys need electricity. I'm just going to run a very ugly, very standard, yeah, let's go to there. Electric cables across the town for now. Let's get our money up. I do love the start of a City Skylines game where you're in that do I have enough money phase, and then suddenly you just have too much money and you never really have a challenge anymore. It's just like a weird phase to be in. Anyway, so yeah, let's just bring this in to connect everyone up, and then I think everyone's going to be quite happy. And then again, similar to what we did in our first town, I just want to build in a little high street vibe along here to satisfy our consumers. And I think everyone's going to be very happy with that. Ah, no, I've forgotten to do district. Knew it was going to happen. So we want another district over here because we want to maintain our themes. So again, this is going to be a European theme, but this is all going to be one district. So this is the Underhill district at the moment, but hit those like, subscribe, comments. I will want to use my subscribers' names as district names. So yeah, let's get that down so we can start doing that. So now that we've selected the European suburbia, they should grow in accordingly. Cool. So I think everyone's going to be quite happy for the moment. So let's just see how this is doing. So we're currently at 384 workers out of, we need 350, so we're nearly there, and we are very, very close to our production. Cool. So one thing I do want to start looking at is our utility services. So we haven't dropped any health services yet. So I guarantee as soon as I click on this, we're going to have about 50 sick citizens, but no one's actually crying out for it. It's a weird bug in the game, but anyway. So yeah, no, 36. It's not as bad as I thought. So we need to get some healthcare in. And I think this is a good opportunity to use this little area that we've got here. So I want to use this asset, which I believe again is from the European pack, but it gives us 100 patient capacity. It's going to cost us 10k to drop it down and 400k out of our budget every week. But we've currently got 3,798 per week profit, so we've got more than enough scope. So I think this is going to look really nice in here. And once we detail this up, I just think it's going to sit really nicely within this little town here. So yeah, and we obviously had 36 sick citizens, so these guys are going to more than enough have more than enough to meet that need. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. So we are getting some not enough buyers for products issues, but that is natural. We do need to bring in some more commercial assets, which will help that a little bit. But yeah, let's see what we're getting over here. So I don't want two of those. I don't mind having the big bite. I don't mind having another Sally's. Sally's is very popular in this city. I don't mind that, weirdly. I don't want, yeah, I don't want the ice cream parlour, and I don't want pancakes, but I don't mind the car wash. So that's going to look good. What are we going to get over here? Another Sally's. We love a Sally's. Okay, so I think we're going to be happy with this one. So this is like one of the little university pack commercial assets, so we're going to be happy with that. And coin laundry, so another little laundry shop. Yeah, so that's going to satisfy some of our commercial needs. Cool. So now we can bring in a few more residences. So I want to kind of come up to that line there, and that line there. So I think everyone's going to be quite happy there. Oh, okay, so we've now got a water issue. So our little water tower that we've got down here, it's finally at capacity. So we're not producing enough water. So this gives us another good detailing opportunity over in our farm area. So I want to bring in another water tower. Now you'll note this does have 25 noise pollution, so as I hover over with this, it's got a little orange ring around it. Anything within that ring will be subject to the noise that is produced by this asset, this building. So we just want to make sure we keep that as far away from residences as possible. So if I place it here, it's going to be absolutely fine. So I'm going to drop him in there, and then connect it into our water network. And again, that is going to kind of accent this little forestry industry that we've got going over here. So again, it's a very small village forestry area. So we don't want too massive industrial vibes going on in this part of town. So yeah, I think once we detail this up a little bit at the end, this is going to look really cool. Maybe a little path around it, some long grass, a little fence, etc. So yeah, that's going to really sort of complement the area as we go through. Cool. So how are we getting on? So we're currently at 314, 317 workers, so we're very, very close. We've got our new district over here doing very well. Once again, let's drop in some more residences. You guys can have a nice view of the sea. It's going to look very cool. Nice. So that's building up nicely. I don't want to go mad on this in this episode. I just want to kind of get these guys settled. This will be sort of built out next episode. We'll build this whole area. That's going to look really nice. Cool. So yeah, I think that's going to look good. So what I'm going to do, I will allow this to reach level 3, and we will be back in a jiffy. Okay, there we go, guys. So we finally hit that level 3. It didn't take that long, to be honest, once I went away, but yeah, we finally got there. So we've now unlocked the printing press, which again is going to be used in more of a middle town industrial vibe. We've got the medium tree plantation, which is a bigger version of the one that we've got already, but obviously provides more workspace. And the large log yard, which again is a bigger version of the one that we have already. No more workspaces, but yeah, just more storage space. So yeah, in terms of our forestry, we are going to leave it there. I don't want to go too far with what we have in this small area. We will build it out eventually, but I want the town to build up first, and then we build that around it. Because we just don't have the industry demand at the moment anyway, so we don't want to go too quickly. Cool. So yeah, I am going to probably leave it there then. So yeah, we've done well today. So we built the forestry area. Our north town has built out. We've now got a little cemetery up here. I don't think we're going to do much more over here, to be honest. I think that's a small town, is looking quite good. We've started building out our westerly town over here, which will eventually kind of come out into this whole area, and then eventually have a harbour fishing port sitting in that corner. And we haven't really touched it over here because we're in a good place, but yeah, our farm area is doing really well. It's thriving. It's producing all the goods that we need it to, and our village has been expanded slightly, but it's doing really good. So yeah, I think we're in a good spot. So what I'm going to do is head off for a very quick detailing session, in which I will do a time lapse. But yeah, I will be back in 2 minutes once we've finished detailing up. Okay, cool. So welcome back, guys. So I've done some very minimal detailing. So just added a few little rocky paths in our forestry area. So these are purely decorative at the moment. They're not really going to get any use. But yeah, it just kind of adds a nice feel. Around our water tower, as I said, a nice little path, a nice little forestry fence, and some tall grass sort of encompassing that area. Just kind of expands the vibe, sorry. As we said as well, a nice little path coming through our plantations, and then into our sawmills as well, segregating the two. We will further detail this once we expand, but for now I just wanted to keep it light. Other than that, we did some minor detailing around our cemetery, so a few little bushes over here, nice little flowers, sorry, and then some larger trees, content creator trees at the back. But I think this just kind of adds to the vibe that we were looking for. So yeah, it's quite a nice view now. If you're down here in the town, you can see the church sitting up on the hill. And then other than that, we just used our forest brush again, just to kind of surround the town in these nice, we'll call it now the Valhaven forest brush. Yeah, just gives it a nice look. And then the same over here in our eastern town, just covering the town from the main road. Just going to sit over here. Yeah, just gives it a nice little look, and I think you'll all agree, as you look from above as well, it makes everything stand out a lot more. So yeah, I think that's going to look good. So there will be more detailing as we move on. I want to get some fences and some paths running along here, and we're obviously going to upgrade this into that 4-lane road. So that's going to expand the look of this whole area. Once this is coming through as well, that's going to look really good. And then we still need to do a lot of detailing over in this space as well. Cool. So I just want to satisfy some of this water issue that we seem to have accumulated. So everyone's going to be happy. Excellent. So yeah, the focus for next episode, guys, is going to be this little town centre vibe. So I want this to be like a real sort of transport hub. So we're going to have buses, trams, taxis, all situated in this area, and then sort of pushing out to the wider towns. And then as part of that, we'll have like a real sort of rural town centre feel. So maybe one of the nice unique assets sort of sitting in there, giving it that feel. And then we want some like playing fields. So whether we use like the football for you, any American watchers, soccer pitches, cricket pitches, so on and so forth. Maybe some Australian football pitches, sort of dotted here and there, and really build out that feel of that central area where the free townsfolk can come in and interact with each other. Yeah, so that's going to be really cool. And then we want to expand this district as well, to kind of fill out most of this area, if not all of it, just to really increase that residential demand. And we also need to do something with this, which we will probably start doing in the next episode, if not the one after. So yeah, I think we're in a good place though. I think the city is starting to look really cool. So yeah, we will leave it there. So thank you very much for your support again. Please hit that like and subscribe as always. Go and check out the other videos. The stuff is really starting to build up now. Please drop some comments below on what you'd like to see, or things that you're not liking seeing, and things that we can improve on. And obviously subscribe. It's always really helpful for the channel to get that algorithm up, and get more viewers in, and we can really get that community going. But yeah, so thank you very much for your support as always. We will hit you on the next one. But yeah, have a lovely evening, day, afternoon, morning, night, wherever you are in the world. But yeah, thank you very much.